Hello everyone, how's it going? So, we're doing another video on the chrono today. Now if you haven't watched the last video where we did the lower control arms on the front of this, you should probably go back and watch that one because that one's pretty interesting and it's a big part of the build. So, we're moving away from the front today and we're going back to the back. Back to back? Back to basics? I don't know. If you remember, we was waiting for some stuff from the machine shop, waiting for some parts, etc, etc. That's all good now. We've got those parts. I'm just gonna do a brief rundown of what's happening. We already have these link bars. We already made those and measured them up to suit, and we sort of needed to mount the bags and the adjustable panel bar here. Ignore this tow rope that was stopping the axle falling down on the floor before. Anyway, just ignore that. There was a shock mount that needs to go on the bottom of here, so we needed longer U-bolts, and then we needed a few other bits to be machined, but we've got them now. So this is our original shock mount on here. So that bolts onto the bottom of the axle, and then the shock actually mounts off here. So the original shock mount that we were gonna use doesn't fit on there. I've had those drilled out. Perfect fit. Now I wanted some adjustability on this plate. So the original hole obviously was here. You can sort of see I've had them elongated all the way along so I can move the strut like so. That gives us a little bit of adjustability, and that's exactly what I needed because it's very, very close. I'm not gonna lie, I've already started doing it because I was a bit like, oh, it's a bit close. Is it actually gonna work? So, yeah. We have a bag in here. These are our new longer U-bolts. I've just put a 15mm spacer under there. We actually needed this 15mm for spatial things. I'll show you in a sec. But basically, I needed to raise the axle higher than this point here. Our new U-bolts still fit. They are in the blue, so we're in the clear. They're actually the perfect length now. So my initial plan was to run the bag the opposite way up, but you know, things got carried away and the spatial constraints are not too nice to it. So we got our lower shock mount here. I've slid it all the way this way, and that gets us proper tight against the axle. If you look here, I'll pump it up and I'll show you. You see it just brushes past the metal bit, which is, yeah, that's aired out. See, that was very tight. And as you can see straight away, we're actually touching our little pedal stool box here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the corner off of this, allow the bag to come back down here. And then we need to like move the strut around a bit, pull this bottom shear out like a couple of mil, like a washer or two here could be like 50mm clearance up here. So that is a lot to play with. I just got to find the perfect balance of where it needs to sit. And obviously we need to potentially massage this chassis rail here because on full drop it's going to touch. That's on full drop now, so it's not going to get any closer to that. But when we're on like drive height, it's obviously miles away from it. So yeah, I'm not too worried on that sense. I just need to adjust this up higher as well. The longer I make this bit, obviously the more this bag compresses. I need to make this bit as long as it can be, and obviously still have clearance around here where the bottom of the bag is. So my job now is to cut the corners of this off and yeah, get it fitting a little bit nicer. This bit and obviously this bit shouldn't move independently. So if I can clear it enough to clear this diameter here, which it looks like it will just clear as soon as we touch it, this bit of the bag shouldn't really be resting on here because obviously this is a lot wider and we'd have to cut right up close to this corner, and then we'd have this shear sort of hanging off the corner, if that makes sense. I've taken the top mount, which is one of these, off of here, which I'm not quite sure if that's going to stay like that, but we're going to cut the corner. We'll just have to play around with it. It's very, very tight. And I've been dreading this moment because I knew it was gonna be tight. And even now it's like, oh, that is a bit tight, but I'll make it work, don't worry. It's one of them where it's literally so tight, but we're trying to keep it under the standard body constraints. So you need to have the perfect adjustment to the shock body, to bag height, blah, 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 blah. The angle, everything. It's very precise. And you get a nice jiggery pokery, and then you should be able to make it work just fine. So, I've only got a couple hours here today because Formula One's on, and as you know, I'm a big Formula One guy, so I'm gonna get cut in. Look at that. Cut the corner off. It's almost solid, this thing. It's literally the bulkiest thing ever. Hopefully, that's all the clearance that we need, and we don't have to cut any more. I mean, we've got room to cut more, but I'd rather not, you know what I mean? But yeah. It's close, but we just need to trim a little bit more off of it. But you can see when it decompresses, it's gonna be pretty much touching nothing. Yeah, look. So basically I've lengthened this one as well. So when I lengthen that, obviously it brings the strut down. We want it to be fully compressed as it lays on the floor, so we get as much height as we can. And yeah, that's doing this mod here and lengthening that has actually brought it away from here, and it's actually moved it away from the axle as well. There's quite a lot of space there now. It's tight, but it's gonna work. It's gonna work. Just gonna trim a bit more off there, and that'll be that. I think that's worked. Just trimmed a little bit more off there. Obviously, this is where full height would be. There's quite a lot of clearance around there. Loads of clearance around the bag there. Lengthen that up a little bit more as well. I'll just jack it up now. We can see plenty of clearance around that bit on the axle. It gets to there, and obviously it just decompresses up. There you go, fully decompressed there. There is a gap there, but I'll just knock the top edge of that off just as a precaution. Obviously we're aired out, and we have bag clearance there as well. So hopefully I can just run it without the top plate on, which is here. Do you know what? I'm gonna try it with the plate on. 2 seconds. There you go, just gives us a little bit more to grind out. I think I'll just open that up a little bit. Get this thing, I don't know what to call it. I'd say it's a top mount, but it's not a top mount. The top plate, even though it's upside down because it's a bottom plate. Trim that out a little bit more. We've got room until we get near the bolt. We only need like a little tiny bit off there, and then it should sit flat. But if we can't, then, you know, I don't think this is even that important. This is such a big sign of relief knowing that it fits. I was up. Keeps you awake at night sometimes, this sort of thing. You know, is it gonna fit? Am I gonna look like a dickhead? I look like a dickhead anyway, but you know what I mean. That's aired out. So, obviously, it needs like a mil or two taken off that and obviously welded back together. But that is aired out to aired up real quick. There's obviously not much of a difference when it's fully inflated. We already checked that before, but obviously I will check it pre-hand for it actually going on the road. But yeah, we've got some clearance now. Now I could do this to this side, and then that bit is situated. But there is another problem, which we already knew was going to be a problem. Like I said before, this configuration wasn't the first rendition of what we were gonna do. I was basically gonna build a pedestal up here that bolted like an eyelet onto the top, but that ended up being, you know, quite limiting in the spatial constraints. I think what we've done now is a much better, you know, option. So we need to change the top mount now because obviously we've got an eyelet end on the end of the strut. So yeah, what I was trying to say is we have these eyelets on the top. Now this is actually aluminium, which is super annoying because I wanted to weld to it. But we can make it a bolt-on application with some precision engineering. Anyway, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut just on this edge here, right? And then that, I've already measured this. And then this bit is from there, well, this surface edge here to there is 20 mil. So what we're gonna do, if I unscrew this, see, I'm gonna cut it there, flush, and then that's gonna be a flat pedestal just on top of here. And then you probably won't be able to see this. Oh, you can. See that there? There's like a dimple right in the middle. That's like the perfect dimple for a countersunk M10 bolt. So we're gonna basically drill through that M10 through the middle. It will be flush, so it won't even protrude past its dimple there. So you won't even see like a bolt head through that hole. It'll be flush, and then we can put a bush on the top, and then we will have a studded, you know, end piece for the back of the car, and it will bolt right up. Now you could actually weld this if you had like an alley welder, a TIG welder, but this is that sort of weird aluminium, which if you start welding and heating it up, it turns into chocolate. It's strong as it is, but once you start messing about with the like properties of the metal, it doesn't like it, and it becomes brittle. So cutting it is the best case scenario for what we need. Otherwise, we'll have to make a whole new sleeve out of steel and make our own, but this should work. Nice. Clean. That's going in my toolbox for a rainy day. Now, just to cut that off, I'm gonna draw a straight edge on there so we can get a good cut down there. Make sure that's flat, squared off with the bottom, and then drill a hole through it. Flatten that off and get drilling. Flat, may or may have not slipped with the grinder. Flat. Ta-da! Now, I just said I was going to put an M10 through there, but just had an obviously dumb moment there because that was obviously loose in there. How am I going to do this up when there's an M10 bolt floating around inside the coilover? I'm going to be able to. So, M12, and then I'm going to tap it so it's obviously buttoned up against here. Do it up before we put it on the coilover or the strut. And then from there, I can Loctite it in and it should hold its position. There you go. Wow. Now obviously that is a massive bolt and I won't be keeping it that long, but I'm just gonna keep it that long for now until I know how much thread I actually need, because we've got bushes to go on there, washers to go on there, 2 nuts to go on there, so that actually might be like this long, so I might have to only cut a tiny little bit off the end. But a couple more of these to do. I will paint it, don't worry. But for mock-up purposes, that's what we're doing. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I love it when a plan comes together. Taking the shims out, the strut is in there, there's a bush on top of it. Put the other side on as well so it's not uneven. Ground a little bit off of there. What I'm gonna do after this is weld that in, weld that hole up. And I also ground the weld off here. The weld is quite proud, so I just trimmed it off where the bag's gonna be. So now it's adjusted to like the perfect height. So this is That's full height. So it's got a big gap over there. Obviously the wheel's gone back because we've gone so high, but our drive height should be around there, which is, we're in the middle-ish. It's still a little bit back. But obviously we've got clearance around there. Clearance around there, loads of it. Obviously extended this. Good job I got the long ones really, because I don't think this would have worked if I didn't have the long struts. Give it a pump. Clearance. There is clearance in there. You probably can't see it because of the light. There you go. Clearance. Clearance, clearance, clearance. Air out. Yeah. And clearance on that bit as well. Perfect. I've got the line. Where is the line? It's going to be here. So I'm going to have to find a routing for the braided airline to come out and around. The airline port is here, so I'm going to have to come out somewhere around here, maybe drill through the floor or find somewhere else to put it, not quite sure. Let's get the other side on here. Trim this on this side, and then we'll have a pair in there. There you go, one pair of bags. Bolted in to the bottom of a stock body car. No clearance issues. Airs out as much as the car will allow it to. You know what that is, don't you?
Real bad man.
I am happy with that. Now, my next job is to get a panel bar from here to the chassis. And also, need to get an exhaust up and over here. And get the airlines around as well. So it's not the finished product, but we're still working on it. Real bad man. Now I'm stoked on that. I am absolutely over the moon because they now fit, and now I can stop thinking about how they're not going to fit, because they do fit. So, next plan of action, start moving fuel pump to somewhere else. Obviously, the feed for the fuel pump is right here, so we need to take that into consideration. Yeah. It's still a bit of a squeeze. I think I might just do the airline bit first. I think it might be a little bit easier. Right, those are some big, long braided hoses, which is good because they move about and you're allowed to move them. While I'm here, I'll just point out that my handbrake cables still work with all these new link bars in the factory spots. So, bonus points for me again. Real bad man. Yeah, this is obviously the air down position. Now this is as slack as as tight as it's gonna be. I need to get basically directly above without, what's the word, ruining the car. Obviously, probably literally directly above here is where the back seat is. It's probably like here as it tapers up. Obviously it tapers up here, so that's where the seat's gonna be anyway. But we need to get, I don't really want to drill a hole just there. That's a bit meh. I don't really like that idea. And then I need to figure out which way to go, because I can't go through here because the exhaust has got to go through here. I can't really go from there. There's only really one way I can go really. I can't go this way because it's, what's the point of going this way? We still need to come from the front back this way. So I think if I turn these bags into the most adequate position, I might get it up, tight against the chassis rail, up above, and then run it down here and then try and find a way to get into the boot floor. This is where the compressor is, in here. So the compressor's right above there, so I can't drill there. I might be able to drill back here, but I don't want it to, any lines to hang out. Oh, this is a tight fit, man. This is a tight fit. And then we have some organized chaos. Left side all run all the way down to the front. Right side all the way down to the front as well. I just wanted to see whereabouts all the lines were gonna run, where the braided line's gonna go. I'm not gonna mount them up yet because I need to put the panel bar from the chassis to the axle, but that's not gonna be in this video. Yeah, I'm happy now. All this hard bit has been done. Do the panel bar in a different video because this video is also extremely long already and I've been rambling. This video was mainly getting the rear bags mounted in this position, working up and down. Axle is literally holding its own weight now, so that's good. I've had people from like all over the world message me about bagging the rear of their car since they've seen some videos and stuff online. Mainly from TikTok. Quite a lot of TikTok people came through. But yeah, this is how I did it, and it's obviously not finished yet, but once it's fully mounted, all the lines are all hooked up, then it is finished. So yeah, if you're following step by step, do this, because this actually works. Well, technically it bolts up. Don't know if it works. It should do. Pretty confident. Yeah, that'll be it for this video. I'm gonna start pulling the fuel pump out now, start relocating that, because I can't do the airlines until I've mounted all this stuff to the axle, and I know things are not gonna be in the way when I weld this new bar in. So yeah, from now, I'm gonna leave you with this. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe, like it, tell your nan, tell your mum, tell your next door neighbour. Do all that sort of stuff. Thank you, goodbye.